That makes sense. I mean, Elvis is
Wow.
still alive.
Elvis
Welcome
isn't
on in,
dead. He just
everyone,
went home.
to our third podcast. We are joined again by Blindside and Platinum Trophy Wife. So, quick recap of some stuff that's happened since last time. WB, the people who made Shadows of Mordor and stuff like that, patented their Nemesis system, which is interesting. A lot of people talking about the Mass Effect DLC coming out next month. Blindside, I don't know if you knew this, Final Fantasy XIV is set to come out on PS5. Overwatch and
Yes.
Diablo are delayed until 2022. Someone did a 31-hour, 100% Breath of the Wild no damage speed run.
I
And
saw that.
yeah,
No resets.
yep. And then a streamer by, and I apologize if I say this name wrong, Negarix absolutely destroyed a sexist commenter during her Twitch stream.
Nega Oryx. Yeah,
Nega
I
Oryx,
know.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen
It
that.
was
Yeah.
it was pretty tasty.
Oh,
I can't.
yeah.
But wait, can I just reel us back a little bit? The
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 14. You're like,
No.
oh, it's coming to PS5, not the new expansion coming in autumn, the new jobs, like the introduction that anima's come into the game as a trial. None of that stuff. You were like, it's going on PS5. Like,
I don't know any of that. I don't play the game. So, like, things that are like when some games come out with DLC, if you don't play them, you don't know the importance of that DLC. You don't know
Lack
how
of
big of a thing that
research.
DLC is.
so they did. 14.
So
one of
I
my
mentioned
favorite
something
things from 14
small to get you going like you are, and now we can go into bigger conversation. Job done.
Make him run. But yeah, 14 does what do they call them? They're like director's letters or something.
Okay.
Where they go through like what's coming up in the game, and they do it for like every kind of small patch. So like kind of 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, whatever. They did them for all those. And the one recently that they did, they announced it. It was in the middle of the night for me, so I had to catch up. And they just kind of went, oh yeah, new expansions coming out in autumn. Here's all the things for it. There's an unannounced new job. So the jobs are classes. I don't know how much you guys know about the game.
I know nothing.
So
Talk to me like I'm 5.
So instead of classes, they have jobs, and one
Okay.
character can do all the jobs. They've announced new healer, which is sages. They've also said there's going to be a melee DPS that they haven't announced what it is yet, but you get to go to the moon. As someone that's been playing classic Final Fantasy, in almost every game I've ended up going to the moon, which I didn't realize was such a recurring thing in the Final Fantasy games. In 14, we're finally going to the moon. So, especially with all the stock market stuff at the
I
moment.
was gonna say just like Doge.
Yeah.
That's
so
funny.
14 at the moment is kind of clashing with stock market Twitter because everyone's tweeting to the
like
moon.
to the moon.
So they're like
Oh my
crossing
God.
over, which is my favorite.
That's pretty cool.
Fly me to the moon.
But I'm not allowed to look at too much of it because I haven't finished the story yet. I'm on 5.2 and it goes up to 5.4, so I can't watch like the actual details. So I had to like catch myself up a little bit.
Gotcha.
So do you think that it'll handle well on a console? Like, how complicated are the controls, attacks? Like,
so they already have it on PS4. So
Oh.
they have a
Yeah.
system in place where effectively, I think you move with the analog sticks.
Whoa.
Wow.
listen.
It's funny you ask. They've had that system for years.
It's already a game on the console. They're just updating it to the PS5.
Yeah,
sounds like.
it's on PS4. Apparently, you can play on console without having like too much. Also, like some of so they don't let you have DPS counters. So they won't let you like do performance measures. You can do it yourself on the PC version. So you can, they call it parsing. So you can like gather the data from the game as to like what your DPS and stuff would be, but even just reporting people's DPS in game is a bannable offense. Effectively, they don't want people like min-maxing and then like screaming at people, which I think is quite a good idea. Having played World of Warcraft, where you have there's like mods that you can see like if people are interrupting, if people are kind of like having cooldowns not being used and stuff like that, and then everyone screams at each other.
Yeah.
So I quite like this system of you can check it and you can see what's happening for yourself. So I can look at my own information and be like, oh, I had this cooldown go off earlier and I could have used this or like whatever. But you can't go in chat and be like, "Ma, you're not even using such and such spell." So
Yeah.
have you played any MMOs? Do either of you play like?
I have. I played EverQuest like back when it came out in like 1999, 2000. I played EverQuest. I played World of Warcraft when it first came out. I've
So, like,
dabbled
when you were 30.
in.
So, like, when you were 30.
I, 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 I've dabbled in other ones.
I really made Elliot laugh with that one.
Only because of from before the podcast.
I'm all about them callbacks,
only
baby.
I'm only 36.
I know, that's the best part. Is
Oh,
that it's not
great.
true?
But yeah, I think because
Yeah,
I
I've
played
played a
Vanilla
bunch of
World of
nothing
Warcraft,
recently.
but like I think
Yeah,
it wasn't
MMOs.
like that before.
I mean, I did WoW.
But yeah, I think they used to be less screaming at each other, but games got. I think it's the point where games got competitive, because you know having like guilds like race for like server first, world first, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the minute you have some people being competitive, where normally they're probably like normal human beings about it, that's when all the people in the middle of the pack that think they're amazing start screaming at each other,
Mm-hmm.
which is the worst.
I mean,
Yeah.
The minute a game gets competitive.
Have you ever played Overwatch? Because like that's how.
See, again, I played Overwatch when it first started out, and it was actually like really cool.
Yeah.
Like the meta worked quite well. Like the player base. I mean, obviously, some people were very competitive because it has a competitive queue system, but
Right. The
I feel
second
like
you
it
have
wasn't as
PvP,
bad as it is
it's going to be
now.
competitive.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Like
So.
Platt and I used to play a lot together, and like we were both in the gold, right? Yeah. And like gold is like where most people are. Like if like you look at the breakdown, like that's where most people are. It's people who are they're good. They're not professional by any means, but they're good. They know the basics. They can do stuff like that. But like half of the people you play with, you would think they were top tier players with like the way they would talk and just like completely diss other people. And it's like you're like
Yeah.
no, like there's an elo. Like we're all the same skill. Stop acting like you're the top dog in this game. Like
So it's so funny you bring up Overwatch because, well, what were you gonna say, Alex? I was gonna change subject.
I was just gonna. I think that's the same with like anything though. I used to play a lot of Dota. I played League of Legends for a while. Like even Heroes of the Storm and stuff. Like it's always the people in the middle that
Yeah.
think that they shouldn't. They think they don't belong in the middle and that everyone else is holding them back.
mhm.
Yeah.
They're the really angry ones. It's like, dude,
Because
we
then
all
it's
queue-
everybody else's fault.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's just like we all queue together. Like you got put with us. Like you're the same skill as us. And they're like, no, I'm being held back by these
No.
noobs.
It's because of Elo Hell. If I had a better team, I would be better.
Oh, Elo
Mm.
hell. I
All
miss
right.
it.
What were you gonna say, Platt?
So Elliot recently like looked at his Twitch stats because there's like a website where you can look at your Twitch stats.
Mhm.
And so I was like, oh, I'll do that. And so I was like, I went to mine. And to this day, I think it might have just been overtaken. But to this day, Overwatch was my most streamed game.
Oh wow.
That's how much Wolves and I played. And like, because I played with Outlaw and I played like every Friday. Like that was our Friday game that
Yeah.
we went to. And so I played that much that it was still my most streamed game over art, which I did like every day for 6 months.
Clearly not enough.
Yeah, it was just like mind-boggling. I was like, I didn't think I played that much Overwatch, but I mean, if you look at the hours, I have almost 700 hours.
Yeah.
And most of those were on stream, so that would make sense. And then I'm like, I was like 40 hours away with my
Yeah.
art to overtaking Overwatch.
I mean, you also had like May Snowball stuff, so it was all like little bonus games that we'd play a lot too. That ate up a lot of time.
And I played May Snowball just this
Yeah.
holiday. It's like the only. That's how I go back to Overwatch. It's just to play May Snowball. I don't play Overwatch. I actually just play May Snowball.
Oh, how times have changed.
Yes, it's a good time. But yeah, it was crazy to me. I just couldn't believe I played that much. I was like, man, especially with now when I go back to it, I'm such trash that like the skills have not passed through time.
No, shooters are the thing. Like, if you play a lot, like your skill level usually only drops like so low, but like it takes a lot to get back up and like.
Yeah, and that's what I think. That's why I don't like multiplayer games nowadays. Like, I'm really striving or like leaning away from multiplayer games.
Mhm.
That like, yeah, they're fun to do with a group, obviously, because you play with other people. But like, that usually means I'm playing super casually, which means you usually don't win or you don't get the objective because in order to get the objective and win, you need to play more to get good. And it's like this vicious circle, and I'm just like, I'd rather play my single player campaign that I like
Yeah.
can actually finish and I'm actually good at. Like, so
Yeah, my friends and I have all been playing Satisfactory recently. And like it's a
okay.
single player game, but we're all playing it, so we're all just talking about it. Like occasionally we'll be in like a
Oh,
Discord just chatting while we're all doing our own thing and stuff like that. Like that to me is like that is a
that's
lot of
cute.
fun. Like when you just play a
Yeah.
game, you're all playing, you're talking, like, oh my god, I just did this thing. You're like, you did? How? Like, and then you're trying to replicate.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
that's cute.
so that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, so
I found
oh, go.
I found that because I'm the same. Like I've stopped playing multiplayer games almost
Yeah.
entirely. Having got back
Yeah.
into Final Fantasy 14 though, like I found it's a really good mix of because I started playing Paladins with a couple of friends, and I was like, oh, well, no one's online. I'll play a couple of matches just to like see if I can get some mechanical skills in. And solo queuing for a shooter, I just went, no, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah.
But with 14, because it's so story driven, like you really have an option of like you can play 14 as a single player. You will eventually hit points where like you have to group with people, but you can just group with people, literally do that dungeon, speak to no one, and then you can be like, story carries on, and then it's just like off to an like Eorzea, and you're like, cool, I'm done now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely agree. Like multiplayer games, just nah, unless you want to be the best of the best.
Like, unless that's the only game you're playing and you're playing it consistently and
Yeah.
like I wouldn't even say seriously, but even if you're playing casually and you're playing it all the time and that's the only game you're playing, then it's a lot more fun because you're getting better with time. But when I play it casually, aka like once a week,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not for me.
That's the problem I have with like MMOs and stuff like that. Like when friends want to play, like I have friends who work different hours or are single or any number of different factors. So like I get up, I go to work, I get home around 6:30, depending on if I went to the grocery store after. I then cook dinner, eat dinner, watch something with my wife. It's like 8, 9 o'clock, and like
Yeah,
I might
it's time
like
for bed.
or I might sit down and play games, but at that point I want to play something super casual, super like in my
Like
own
for
little
someone
world.
of your age, it's bedtime.
But like I have friends like they get out of work at like 4 or 5, and then they just play the game until they go to bed, and they'll stop for a dinner. And it's like
Yeah,
I get left behind.
right.
Like I'm like, okay, it's Saturday, the work week's over. I'm gonna sit down and play. I'm level 7. How are you guys? Oh, you're all level 20, so now I'm just playing on my own anyway. Cool.
Yeah. Or you get into areas where you die immediately and they
Yeah.
like have to keep resting you and you're like, well, this is fun.
Or there's no sense of learning or exploration because they're just telling you everything or blitzing through stuff. They're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, here's all this gear. We're gonna go do this. We're gonna do that. Why are we doing this? Oh, because we're supposed to for a quest. What's the quest? I don't worry about it. I'll share it. Like,
Yeah.
all right. Like, what
This
am I?
I
is
hate
why
that.
this is why I won't play open world games anymore.
Yeah.
Open world
Yeah.
survival crafting, like the three horsemen of the apocalypse of indie games. Like I just won't anymore. Because I'll have friends be like, oh no, this one's different, like it's really good. And then I get into the game and they're like, yeah, cool. Here's our giant fortress already built. Here's some armor and a sword. Now you can do whatever you want. I'm like, there's nothing
What
to
was
do
the
now.
point?
I want for nothing. This
Yeah.
is
No,
you've built a utopia and there's nothing left for me to do.
I'm with you 100% on that. And um, December into January, my friends and I all had basically around like the same week off. Like I had PTO for work I had to use or it was gone for the next year. Like one person was going back to college, so they had time off. A friend had just quit his job and was starting another job, so we all had time off. So we all got Conan, which is a
Mm-hmm.
survivor craft game. We rented a private server, and for like a week or 2 weeks straight, we all just played it like a lot. So we all did everything together, and it was so much fun. It's like what you want those games to be, as opposed to when
That's the ideal
yeah.
situation right there. Yeah.
And so like we all just played it, we all learned and stuff like that, and like somebody might be up a little bit later and they did a few more things that you didn't, but like it's not like 8 hours of stuff. It's like an extra hour or two. Like, oh, I learned this thing. You did? Like they'll show you. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, it was so much fun.
Exactly.
I want more times like that. I just need a lot of
Yeah,
money and no job. Like that's why is that
it's the
so?
one thing. It's the one thing that makes me jealous of like full-time content creators that can do that.
Yeah,
Like if you're a full-time content creator, like you can get some of your friends and you can like, yeah, let's do a collaboration where like we all make a
Mm-hmm.
Minecraft world and we all learn Minecraft. Because that's their like 9 to 5. They can
yeah,
be like, let's learn it together and
Mm-hmm.
have fun. But
yeah. Because a
for
lot
the
of the big
rest of
streamers
us.
did that with Rust recently.
Yeah.
Like they had all their large own
I
private
noticed
Rust
that
servers.
was like a big game right now.
Yep.
Was Rust.
Yeah, no.
It's
Like,
it's so weird, this trend of I think like Among Us and Fall Guys kind of started the ball rolling on that. But this like thing of just like streamers now are just, well, actually it turns out it's fun to play with people because you're not allowed to leave your house. So they've all like just revived these old multiplayer games because they're like, well, no one's making new ones, so let's all play Rust now. Then it's like 6 million people on Twitter have just tweeted about Rust, and it's like, why?
yeah, because there was like a resurgence of Minecraft for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Minecraft, I mean, I don't know about America because like in England, Minecraft never went away. Like if you go to video game events, there's a big like LAN and video game conference that goes on in England. It's like the biggest in Europe, and like a whole chunk of the hall is just Minecraft. Admittedly it's like younger, like kind of mid-teens down.
Yeah, I
But,
would
like,
say the same.
But like
Like it never went away, but it got more popular, I would say, like on Twitch. Like the bigger streamers started streaming Minecraft again.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying.
Oh, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I never saw Minecraft like research, but I mean, I've just always tuned Minecraft out and give it another try
Yeah.
actually this weekend. I'm gonna try
Okay.
Minecraft again without. I've only tried it once, and I went into a server with Terry, the Grumpy Brit, or now Terrico, and Autarkic, who we used to do the podcast together. But it was so heavily modded that you got in, and the game instantly gave you like a pile of books. I was like, well, here's all the guides for all the mods, and I was like, I just want to hit rocks, and yeah, it was so overwhelming that I was just like, I am not having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
I'm trying it again vanilla. I can come back and report in a couple of weeks whether I'm now a Minecraft obsessed like preteen.
Yeah. I feel like part of like the resurgence of things like that, there's a lot of little factors. One, like you're saying, I think they discovered a couple of smaller games and then it just started populating. But I think for some of them, like it was always public servers or like pseudo public servers they'd play on, and like for someone who has 20,000 viewers, you can't do anything on a public server without some people going there and just ruining your time.
Yeah.
So I think after that, I think a lot of them put more effort into communicating with the other and starting to set up the private servers. I think really what changed is they started to experience it more and have a lot of fun. And a lot of them were large enough that they could branch out from like their normal games, keep their viewership, network, probably increase their viewership because now they're networking better. And like I think all this finally culminated and they just figured out how to get it all working and then like it worked. So
Yeah. Speaking of multiplayer games, I had got the new one, the All Stars, or Destruction All Stars, which is on the PS5. It's free this month for PS Plus.
okay.
And it was announced on E3 or at E3, and so it was like I remember the game being announced and being like, that would be fun for Friday with Friends. And I was like, but I don't want to pay for it. And then it was free on Plus, and I went, perfect.
That's the exact amount of dollars I wanted to spend.
Exactly, because I was like, I don't want to pay money for that, but it might be a fun game for like Friday with Friends. And so it was like the perfect situation. And so I tried it out, and it was kind of bizarre because it's like everything we're talking about. It was like the multiplayer, but it was new, so technically nobody knows what they're doing. But it feels like where Rocket League works with this, I don't know, marketing strategy, if you will, like putting it out for free, getting so many people to play it. Rocket League worked because it was easy to play, hard to master.
Yes.
And Fall Guys, I would argue, didn't work because it was easy to play, but then you can't necessarily master it because there's a lot of RNG involved. And so it's like, okay, and it could get boring after a while, where Rocket League doesn't get boring. I don't know if it's, I can't really explain why. Probably because Fall Guys, if you die early, you're just like, well, now I gotta wait.
If something goes wrong in something like Rocket League, you can more often than not point and go, that's where I made a mistake, or that's where they did well.
Yeah.
And Fall Guys, you can sometimes do that, but you go, that's where I got unlucky.
Yeah.
Like just
exactly.
like I chose this path, the door didn't open, I got pinned to the ground and like I glitched and I couldn't get up and like you're just like and I was just stuck there.
And then that's it. That's the whole game.
Yeah.
But so for Destruction All Stars, I feel like it could be good. It was really bizarre because I played it for like 3 hours. I played it for 3 hours. It felt like 30 minutes. So in that way, I'm like, okay, well, it's fun.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like hard to like learn everything. I kept like pressing the wrong button because their tutorial's really, really quick. And so I was like, oh yeah, I want to do this. And then I would press X and I actually wanted to press triangle. And I jumped out of my car and I was like, oh no, that's not what I wanted at all. But I don't know. It's kind of bizarre. I feel like there might not be enough content for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's just some mechanics of it that I was just like, I don't know how this will do. I don't know. I think it has good potential, but it's definitely like I'm not quite sure how to like master this game. Like,
Okay.
oh, if I work on this and this and this, I'll master the game, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not readily apparent.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
It
Makes
was
sense.
it was a bizarre experience, to be honest with you. We were talking about this in chat like while I was playing. I was just like, I don't I don't know how I feel about this game.
Did you ever have a game where the controls they don't feel intuitive? Like you keep hitting the wrong one, so you go in and
Yeah.
change the control buttons, but then you still are hitting the wrong one. Like for some reason, your brain it never feels correct. Have you ever done that? You're like, no, I
I've done
keep
that
hitting
before.
X for jump when I want to hit Y. Let me switch those, and then you're like, no, now I keep hitting Y and I want to hit like I don't know why.
Yeah, then you hit the correct control from before.
Yeah.
I do that. It's so funny.
Like I
I
don't.
get that constantly with anything keyboard and mouse that's like an RPG.
Mhm.
E or F for use.
Yep.
I switch them constantly, and
Oh,
because I switch
yeah.
them constantly, I hit the wrong one all the time. But I've never decided which one's better. I'm still to this day. I'm just like whatever one it's set as, I'll start playing. I go to use the first thing in the game, and I go, ugh, change it, and then it's just who
Whatever
knows
one
what I'm
they
doing.
tell me, I'm gonna change it,
Until
and
you-
I'm gonna complain
I
that
don't
it's
like
not
it.
right.
Or like you get random games where like they have a flashlight and it's like use T to flashlight. No, flashlight is F. Who the heck decided T? Like you get those one games like who, what? No, you're wrong.
But then I'm in a rush,
Oh.
and I go to open a door, and I just turn the flashlight on, and everything's gone horribly wrong.
That reminds me, Phoenix Immortals or whatever came to the PlayStation.
Yeah.
And it's obviously like for the PC. Like they ported it over because the controls are so bizarre. First of all, I hate when a PC game then goes to console and then they force you to do an analog stick as if it's a mouse. I hate that. Let me use the D-pad to choose options.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, you mean like in menus?
Yeah.
in menus,
Yeah.
they have
I
me do
agree.
the analog stick, and I go, "You're an idiot. Let me use the D-pad." Or
Yeah.
if I do the analog, it clicks to the option. They're like, "No, this is a mouse," and I'm like, "Bro, it's
This
a
is
controller."
this is better. Trust us.
It's better. It's better. I'm like, get out of here. And then like attack is, I want to say like R1 or R2, and I was like, this is the weirdest fucking control I've ever had.
Dark Souls. That's R1, R2 attack.
Are
Yeah.
every
you
time.
serious?
Yeah.
Yep.
R1's
Oh, I don't
light
like
attack and
that.
R2's dark,
Mm-mm.
like heavy attack in all the Souls
No,
games.
attack is triangle, square, or X. And a circle is roll.
If X isn't jump and circle isn't roll, I'm not playing.
I'm not playing. 0
And
out
just-
of 10
just-
game.
Yeah.
Just close it. 0 out of 10. Right up the review.
I would
Jumps
back
on
out, but I
triangle.
can't because I gotta use the mouse.
My favorite.
And,
with,
it's never fast. It's just like
No, it's so slow.
you're like I'm gonna get there. I'm
And then
determined.
you get
man.
there, and then it goes like this, all of a sudden, really fast.
Like it highlights the word and then suddenly that for some reason increases the speed. So like and tick, like,
My
I'm telling you.
my greatest nemesis with the PlayStation is when you're typing on the keyboard and like you'll be pressing like you go to the letter and then you move the controller a bit and it goes, oh, you want to use the controller to aim at letters, and so you go all the way across
Like
the L and then you go to press the button and you turn the controller like this much and it's like Q. You're like, what the fuck are you doing? Like why pick both of the all
Just
the
stop
touch
moving
pad
the
is-
controller.
have you ever
Please
played,
stop it.
have you ever had the one where they give you the keyboard but it's not a QWERTY keyboard? It's just A B C D E.
Oh,
You ever
I
had
hate that too.
It's like all of a sudden you can't remember how the alphabet works because you're like,
no,
no,
I'm
this
like,
is supposed
H
to
is
be.
in the middle, and then you're like, wait, where is it?
You're like
I
A B
still-
C.
I
Bro,
still
were
have
you
to
in my
do that.
living room when I was on Hulu? Because I feel like it's the streaming services that do that.
Yeah.
They
If
do
it-
A
if
through
it's-
Z.
If it's not A, P, or Z, I don't know where in the alphabet it is. It could be anywhere. So I have to like do the song. Like I 100%.
Oh my god.
I'm just like H is in the end, it's in the middle.
I know. I know, like, MNO. Oh, of course, now I can't do it. Actually, I don't know it. I thought I was gonna say.
You're starting
I
on
was gonna say I
M.
know a little
You're L.
couplet.
MLONNMNOP.
Lemon.
Like JKL, like I'm like I know those ones are together, and ABC, and then like I know like little couplets together, but
Yes.
sometimes if you
So they
get in
give you like
between the
starting
couplets,
off points when you need to remember. Like,
Yeah.
I know the R's near the S, but is it before or after?
Yeah.
The T's somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's so funny. I'm so glad other people have this problem because I thought it really
Yes.
was me and my bad education.
and you always have that one friend who will be something like, it'll be like some weird puzzle thing. They're like, T. Oh, that's the 18th letter. Like, you just know that? Like, I'm like, what is it?
I know.
You're like,
That
what's T? Like,
person's a serial
7?
killer.
8? No, it's way, 7's way too. You're like now guessing. Like,
You need to take that guy to a casino. He's gonna nail it.
He's counting cards.
Well, there was an ace like 6 cards ago, so actually, you want to probably stick.
Oh, man.
Cancel the
My worst one's the
15th
old.
letter.
When you get like in a high score, and you got to do the 3 letters, and
Yeah.
it's thinking like, right, I need an R. Am I better off going up or down? Which one's
Oh
closer?
my gosh.
Just up.
And then you go, it's up, and then you go, okay, it was down, but now I'm on it, so I just
Yeah,
gotta
but
keep going.
by the time you're on like L, you're like, well, I've committed. I can't turn around and go back. We're on an L. What are you talking about?
Or
Oh
you
The
don't.
old style joystick on an arcade machine.
Yeah, or it's the spin wheel, so you get to like C. You're like, oh, now I need Z. You're like, oh, it'd be quicker if I just go the other way. And then it goes through all the numbers, and then all the special characters, and then you're like, nope, I was wrong. I didn't think this.
You get to 1, you go down. It's like a forward slash. It's like no one's using a forward slash. Get out of here.
What is this? AIM in 2000? Get out of here. No one's using it.
Oh man.
Anyway,
So, Wanda Vision.
I was gonna say that. I didn't want to. I was gonna be so WandaVision. I was like, I don't want to pull the conversation.
We need a good segue it somewhere. A
Can't
half-second
we spend
pause.
a full
WandaVision.
hour- Can't we
Honestly,
spend a full hour inputting our names in abstract machines? Is this not?
it's totally connected to WandaVision, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you how in my 10-paragraph essay that I wrote.
Do you have a PowerPoint slide ready?
I have a
As
Word
you can see.
document.
So, real quick, this is off topic already. That is one of my favorite things in like procedural cop shows and things like that. When they all go to brief each other, and they all have these very professional PowerPoint presentations work, and they clearly have a clicker, and they're just hitting it, and it's going to the immediate next thing. And it's
Yeah.
like, how long did you spend making this? Like, you are ready, prepared. Like, there's a murderer on the loose who's going to kill someone in like 2 hours, and you spent the last 6 making this PowerPoint presentation with these cool slide effects and these
You
fade
know
in,
it's an
fade out.
intern doing it. They're
They've
like, hey,
got like a
intern.
there's like an
do it.
animated pie chart. Like no one knows
Yeah.
how they
But
did
that's
it.
but my favorite is NCIS does this all the time. When they all get so they all will go like, okay, you go look into this person, you go look into that thing, I'm gonna go look into this thing. So they all go do the
Right.
thing and they come back and they start talking to each other. But they have one clicker. So like Jethro, like the main character, will be like click click, this is so and so, click this is so and so, and they think the nuclear sub is in like the Mediterranean Ocean. And then he hands the clicker over to the other guy. He goes, and then in the Mediterranean, he takes over. So not only are they prepared, they've interlaced their PowerPoint presentations with each other, so they can pass this clicker around when it's their turn. Like,
Clearly,
it's my
it's
favorite
in an
thing.
alternate
Shows.
universe where your brain is a computer, and when you press the clicker, it just shows what you're thinking.
So that's my favorite thing. But anyway, back to
Yeah, I've been
WandaVision.
in group projects. I know how long it takes. It takes until the last minute to get that shit together.
And takes until one person finally goes, "Fine, I'll do
I'll
it."
do it. That was me. That was yeah.
So WandaVision. we're finally going to talk about a program that I've actually watched.
I'm so excited you watched it. First of all, just for us.
We gave him homework yesterday. We're like,
Do
watch
you-
this one. He's like, I'm
Yes.
about to.
Do you want to
Literally,
put
I
like
was-
a spoiler thing on? Because we're gonna talk the whole thing, right?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I
Do
could
we
quickly
have
throw a
that?
text up here. Oh, we're doing some live edits. News
Has
source,
I
technology
can give
gone
you a
too
PNG to
far?
put up if you want.
text source. Oh no, I'm just gonna straight up put text up in here. We're fancy up in this.
Okay.
Add a news source.
To just be like, listen,
Spoilers.
don't click because
Wanda
there were
Vision.
really big spoilers this week.
Oh, I'm putting like straight up text on the live feed. I'm
No.
not even.
Oh, okay.
I'm not even
Yeah.
changing the title. I'm just
Okay, that's fine.
text.
But yeah.
Yeah, I did love that.
Can I
Like,
just say?
I was sitting down, getting ready to watch it, and then literally I got a message being like, right, you got homework. You got to watch the episode that just came out. And I was like, now I don't want to. You know, like when someone's
Yeah.
like, you're going to the
You got
kitchen to wash
homework.
dishes, and someone's like, are you going to wash those dishes? And you're like, you know, bitch? No, I'm not going
No.
to wash those dishes.
I'm not.
So I nearly didn't watch it, but I wanted to because it is really good.
I cannot tell you how much I'm in love with this show.
No, put it right in the middle, right over me.
You can put it over my face. That's fine.
Imagine white text without a border.
Oh God.
Oh my God,
Animal.
the judgment.
Listen.
So much judgment.
Animal. How dare you come in here with your subpar text sources?
Background gradient. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just clicking buttons.
Just-
Outline. No. Outline color. That.
Yeah.
Right?
That-
And we click there.
Just make
Done.
a white outline. Great.
I clicked the outline button and
Yay!
white was the default. All right,
Now
there.
make it a bit bigger.
I'll make you a bit bigger.
Okay.
My
You're right, we won't.
There.
I've just so you've moved the background like to the left a couple pixels. One of my favorite things is in my raid video, because when I try
you.
to move my sun scene that I've got, sometimes if I try and move my webcam, I move the background. And one of my best sun clips that's in my raid video, I've clearly moved the background, and you can like see the strip like just black that I've left in the side, and it winds me up. No one notices, but it winds me up every
Oh yeah,
time I
hate
play
that
the
kind of
video.
stuff. That's so funny. Oh man.
I could fix it, but I'm not gonna.
So WandaVision. Elliot, tell us.
WandaVision.
Oh, so how versed are you in the MCU? I didn't think so.
Some.
Okay.
I am some versed.
That's why I want you like yours specifically, because you don't know things the way
Just
I am. I
We want the
speak
idiot's
language.
perspective first. So come on, layman.
No, I'm interested because this show kind of requires some knowledge, so that's why I'm like interested.
So pretty much the only thing I know about Wanda, from like the comic end of the MCU,
Okay.
the only thing I know about that is that like she is technically an X-Man. Like in the comic
Yes.
universe, she's a mutant,
Yes.
and the X-Men exist in that. But obviously, they can't do that
right.
in the MCU because of licensing. Same way as
Yes.
like the whole Spider-Man thing with Sony.
Mm.
yeah.
So I'm kind of like aware of that, which is why I'm just gonna dive straight into the end. We can work our way
Go
back.
ahead.
I
No,
suppose.
do it.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
So
we have a
what-
tag up. It's
we got a
got
tag,
an
it's
outline
fine.
and everything.
So when Pietro rocked up, at first I went, "Oh, Pietro's here," and then I went, "That's not the right Pietro," and then I
Oh.
went, "That's Days of Future Past Pietro," who I really
Yes.
liked him as.
Yeah.
Well, everybody did because Aaron Taylor Johnson only had one movie and only a small part and was only used for shock value. So he never got to like be Quicksilver.
Yeah, but his scenes are amazing. Both scenes that he's in are amazing because they just slow everything down. Like, all right,
Well,
we had
one of my favorite things is like when he's in those movies,
Yeah.
like the whole like supporting the neck and like the goggles and the slow mo with the classical music. That he clearly listens to music super
Sweet
sped up for it
dreams
to
are
work.
made of leaving. It's so good.
I think he gives a field. I think anything on his like a field around him when he starts doing isn't slowed down.
Oh, maybe.
I
don't
like
know.
the idea that he has to post production make all these songs really sped up. So he has
Like,
to-
I do kind of love the idea that, but the problem is you would have to compress the shit out of it. The sound
Yeah.
quality would be awful.
yeah. Yeah.
But
know,
in my head, I like to think that if someone like took his headphones, put them on, it would just sound like rewinding VHS. Like just, and like I just that's my head canon for Quicksilver.
I
Um,
like it. Okay, so oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say yeah. So,
So-
that was my match. I just assumed he had a field around him, so that's within his field of immunity to slow down.
Yeah.
Um,
So
but yeah, so I'm kind of interested because I feel like, I mean, the more things you mash together, Marvel have found out so far, just keep mashing IP in. The minute it starts getting stale, just push it
Yeah.
right down, like my feelings.
well, to
Um,
be fair,
To be fair,
that was awesome. I've never had a full group do. So they are left with this, as in Marvel is left with this problem of now we finally have rights for mutants / X-Men.
Mhm.
How do we implement them into the universe we've already created, especially when we were able to kind of use mutants with Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver? They changed it to them being enhanced, aka getting their powers from the Mind Stone.
Yeah.
But so they were kind of left with this problem of how do we do this and yet cater to what X-Men is all about, because the whole idea about X-Men is that they're in throughout history,
Yeah.
like back to Egyptian times. So if you have a universe that doesn't have mutants and then all of a sudden introduces mutants, you want that history behind them, because otherwise Magneto his whole shtick is hinged on the world war. And so if you have Magneto, like without him being in a concentration camp, like he kind of loses his
yeah, it's
like
not his.
it's not
backstory.
quite as poignant
Although,
as
I mean,
a point.
it kind
On
of
a
fits in
side
with
note,
the Hydra stuff, so-
it also becomes less of a thing as the X-Men are always today thing, and like
Yeah.
the Holocaust was a while ago at this point. Like
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know how they're gonna do it. Obviously this is like how they could do it, but it's still not exactly clear like what exactly is happening, like because technically he was just plucked from another universe. So is it gonna be where we get Hugh Jackman as Wolverine again because we just pluck him, or is it gonna be where we can, I don't know, somehow she's gonna rewrite reality to where there's mutants? You know what I mean?
I think it's going to be more of her rewriting reality to some extent.
That's what I want, but again, I want the history. So it's kind of like, is she gonna rewrite the past as well?
I assume so, because I mean they already have leeways of screwing with the past because of Endgame, and they did a lot of time travel, and that's already screwed stuff because Loki got free. So there's an
Yeah.
alternate timeline Loki out there.
Yeah.
WandaVision can just have reality rewriting abilities.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be somewhat a rewritten of reality, but I think it's going to include the history as well, would be my guess.
And then one thing I am worried about is like if they do all this, they really need to like balance her character because she's really fucking powerful, and I don't know how you answer like why doesn't Scarlet Witch just
Well, that's
take care of the problem?
that is always a comic issue.
right.
So
it
like
is.
with Marvel in general, they've had power creep because when they first started, everyone was for the most part weaker than they're supposed to be. Because when you're
Yes.
trying to appeal to the mass, you can't have too over the top in that regard out the back because people like it just for some reason dissuades people. So you
Yeah.
just so they've been slowly incrementing their powers, and they made a joke about that in the war one when after like watching Vision for a bit, she shows up and like she's like, why wasn't she here the whole time?
Yeah.
And then like they needed to kind of write off why Captain Marvel was just elsewhere.
Not there. Yeah.
Yeah, because like you have characters who are just reality bending strong, and you need to kind of like explain why they're just not.
And it was the same thing with Vision, because Vision's super powerful. So like they had to write like why he couldn't fight for the entire movie, you know, kind of thing. And it's like so he got injured right in the beginning.
Yeah, it's the Superman problem. Like it's
yeah. So, gosh, I think they've done a good job so far. I know people have problems with Captain Marvel, but I really had no problem with her dealing with literally every other planet in the universe. Like,
Yeah.
So I didn't have a problem with her like not being there, especially since she's like not a part of the team. Like
Yeah.
that just made sense to
Oh yeah,
me.
no, it
That
makes
she
sense
would
that
be
she.
like, you guys just showed up. I've been doing this for a while. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, they
Like,
gave a very good and plausible reason she wasn't. But like
yeah,
you kind of have to do that going
you
forward when
have
you
to
do
do
stuff,
that.
especially
So
as you bring them more and more movies. Like you kind of
yeah,
need to be like, so why are you doing this on your own? Why don't you like bring up like Scarlet? Why don't you
yeah.
bring up like? Why don't you just?
That's why I love an Ant-Man when he's like, I know what we gotta do. Call the Avengers.
Yeah.
Like, and he was just like, we're not gonna call the Avengers.
He's like, no, no, we're
They're
gonna get
like,
other people to solve this, right? That's what. Oh,
yeah.
we can't. Damn it.
I love that line so much. But
Oh.
but yeah, so it's interesting on where this is gonna go. Especially where mutants are concerned, which for me is like, because that's my favorite. I
Yeah.
love X-Men. That's where my passion is at. So I'm really excited for them to bring him in, but it'll be interesting how they do that. And going forward, how are they going to balance? Are they going to create really good reasons for her not being able to maybe do this anymore?
Yeah.
Like, if she rewrites it once, is she going to be like, well, that was probably a mistake. This changed the entire world. Like,
I also love the focus of the show, like not overtly rub it in your face, but really making
mm-hmm.
sure you're aware. Not everyone had a happy ending.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
Endgame, like outside of Tony, it really tried to portray this like people came back, happy ending, like things worked out for Captain America, like all these things worked out, and like the WandaVision's like,
No.
no, like there's still some like
And
really,
they did that with especially Monica Rambeau. That
yeah,
was like the huge like,
yeah,
yeah, the blip happened, but like it was hard for everyone. It was hard for the people left behind, which is what we saw in Endgame.
yeah,
And it was hard for the people who've come back that now have missed 5 years of the world.
yeah. Because like
And
every until this, everyone else has kind of been it's worked out for, like
yeah.
um because like Spider-Man, all of his friends and his people all happen to be blipped, so they all happen to come back.
All the important people.
Like yeah, like so, and all those other things. Like yeah, something unfortunate happened, but it was actually surprisingly not very impactful to them. And this show
Right.
is really focusing on the people it impacted. Like she
Yeah.
took a nap and her mom died 2 years ago. Like
Yeah. It's
like
crazy.
yeah. So I really enjoy that.
Yeah, me too. So Elliot, what else? What else? What else? Give me your reactions.
Oh, so far, I think the like evolving, like the nature of it, like evolving as it goes through. Because one of the things that like really stuck with me was, so it was either like this episode or the last one that Vision starts like being aware of like what's going on, and
Last one.
Wanda turns around and she's like, I don't know how it started. I'm just kind of playing upkeep, which kind of
Oh,
suggests
yeah,
that like
that was this one.
not everything, because like where you're just saying like, oh, like how are we going to reverse our powers and stuff, like
Yeah.
it's kind of suggesting that either obviously going through everything that she went through then resulted in just like a huge thing that she wasn't aware of and became aware of it, or is it something that she's like there's something else involved in it where she wasn't necessarily in charge of, well, it's gonna be a sitcom and like stuff like that. Like,
Yeah. So that's the big question, because it's obviously she. So we know for a fact that she broke into Sword and got Vision's body. So
Mhm.
we're pretty sure that whether by accident or on purpose, like she, well, I guess we know on purpose that she wanted to bring Vision back
Yeah.
and, and revive him essentially. Now the question is, why is it this sitcom TV world? Like, was that an accidental consequence of her trying to make an idyllic reality? But if that's the case, why does it keep changing? Because
Yeah.
if you go back, the 1950s episode was probably the most idyllic one and yet she changed. She changed it. So it's like, well, why didn't you just stay there? And then we have this barrier around. So it's like, I just don't see Wanda being like, I'm gonna mess up this town, kind of thing. This is the one that I'm just gonna keep y'all hostage. Like,
And so I think initially, outside of like kidding Vision stuff like that, I think a lot of this wasn't intentional because
I
in
don't
the
think it's
first things, like things are like confusing her as well. She also is like, what
Right.
is happening? And then like things would snap back.
Because if you remember in the first episodes, she was the one asking questions, being like, this doesn't seem right. And
Yeah.
Vision being like, it's fine. But now it's like reversed,
Mhm.
where he's asking questions and she's like, I got it. Don't worry about it. And it's like, okay, what? I love that there's like this subtext of like, she didn't know and then became aware and then decided, okay. Like,
But wasn't there was like a moment for that, wasn't I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was like a moment with the helicopter.
Yeah.
Like,
mhm.
because before that she was just like a part of it, and then
Right.
the helicopter thing happened, and then it seemed like because that was the cut to credits was for after she picks up the helicopter, I think. And
That
like
was
she
in the
kind of
middle
looked
the
at was it the middle of the episode?
It was, yeah.
I don't remember. But
Don't
like,
worry about it. I got
it-
you. I've rewatched every episode like 8 times.
But it seemed like there was like a bit of a switch there, and I don't know. Part of me thinks it's like a bit of a monkey ball situation. Like this
Right.
is why I don't think it's coming from her. I think there was something that snapped it in. That I think she's made some kind of like devil deal or monkey ball, that kind of shit where it's like you have to
Yeah.
word it real careful, otherwise they mess with you. So
Right,
like,
so
it's
that's-
almost like she's got on a monkey paw and been like, right, I want Vision to be back alive, and idyllic life where we're away from all like the bullshit.
right.
And it's been like, we're okay, but it's not like you're gonna get everything you asked for, but it's gonna be all fucky. And then it's like, do go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
and
think,
that's
like-
the question is it an outsider person that is like messing, that, granted the wish or messing with her or trying to get something from her where it's like, oh yeah, I'll help you bring Vision back to life, but I kind of want this from you in return,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah.
So there's other things that I'm kind of curious about. Since you watched every episode multiple times, you could either correct me if I'm wrong or if you also have questions about it.
Yes.
So the friend, the one that always shows up to like kind of
Agnes?
interviewed, like she is
I
more
love
aware
her,
than
by the way.
anyone else what is happening.
Yes. So she never gets confused.
Yeah.
This episode seems like she's confused, but she's not. She's like, she knows her role
Yeah.
and is like,
Well, yeah, 'cause she does the. Do you want to take it from the top?
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
where like other people,
Which means
when
she
they get
even knows
confused,
it's a
they're like,
TV
"What?"
show.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the thing. She also knows it's a TV show. Should I take it from the top? She
Right.
knows what's
She's talking
happening.
like an actor.
Yes.
Okay, but also the biggest thing with her that freaks me out is we still don't know who Ralph is.
Correct.
Because she was talking to the guy that I can't remember his name, the guy that like chainsaws or hedge trimmers like through a fence, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
through a
yeah,
brick
yeah,
And
yeah.
fence.
they were doing all
Sure.
like the hush tones in a corner, and then Wanda like notices it, and then she goes over
Right.
to them, and they get very like, oh well, I've got things to go and do, and then they go and do the thing,
Yeah.
like, and they just
Yeah.
like split off. But it's like they were like caught.
Yeah.
So at first I was looking at that, being like, oh, is that Ralph? And then it was like, no, because that's the other
No,
neighbor, and they
that's
call him by
her.
name. Her, that's the one. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, I want, because I feel like she is the one that seems to be closely linked to it, and she's a
Yeah.
neighbor on one side, and then you have
Yes.
Herb on the other side,
Yes.
who has glitched out and then was like hush talking.
On a
with
side
her.
note, she's not a neighbor. So when she first shows up, she goes, I'm your neighbor from the right, not your right. The neighbor
Yeah.
to their right, not their right, is the guy cutting the hedge.
Is Herb. Yeah.
So that's a lie right there. And when this episode, when they're trying to find the dog, they walk down the street, and she was in bushes that she said was hers when she found the dog.
But it was down the street. Yeah.
So she does not live where she has claimed she's lived.
Correct. So she's playing a role.
Yeah.
Because, like, in the 50s, that's how the dialogue was. And it was like, yeah, this, that. I'm just your neighbor,
Hmm.
kind of thing.
Also, because
then,
she
like,
sees like
now it's,
everything, right? Because she, oh, I saw through the window that you had a little pooch, and then she turns
Yeah.
out-
Exactly.
like,
You know,
Yeah.
she
she
is an
sees the-
enabler of the
not like
she's an enabler. She's enabling this false narrative.
So there are theories that because as you're watching it, you are very much, I'm not going to say manipulated, but like you're very much
You're spoon-fed
pushed,
information.
Yeah.
encouraged to think, oh, Wanda's going to be the villain of this. That's kind of like where it's leading, because it's like you're seeing more and more that she's doing this and da 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 da. But there are theories that Agnes is actually the real antagonist.
Yeah,
And
because she knows
could
too
be
much.
doing stuff. There's also theories that it might be Ralph, and that's why we haven't seen him. But it's so great because it all kind of doubles up, because you're like, but it also could just be that's how television was. Sometimes there were characters that mention off-screen characters, and you just never saw that character.
Yeah.
Like that was very a TV sitcom thing to do, especially in the 50s. Not so much now, but like, so it kind of doubles up as like, oh, it could just be a part of the era.
Yeah.
Or it could mean everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. Like I had to look it up after it, because I couldn't remember Lagos.
Me neither. I felt like an idiot. I felt like a
I
pleb.
couldn't remember that, and like that has way more of an impact once you look that up, because Lagos is where Scarlet Witch like blew up a building and killed a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And the commercial is about cleaning up your mess.
Yeah.
And like when she spills it, like the girl cleaning up, she's like nearly crying. Like the first time, she's like nearly crying, cleaning up her mess with Lagos. Like there's a very clear message there, and like that's like the surface level from the quick searching. So I'm curious, like what else is like.
Well, it was interesting because when I watched it. Oh, so all the ads are references to her tragedies or low points.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, because one's a toaster, and then there was
the Hydra or something.
Bath stuff.
The Hydra is the watch.
Yeah.
And then the Hydra bath soap. So it's like the first one is the Stark bomb that like killed her parents and almost killed her and Pietro. Then it's the Strucker watch, which is Strucker is the doctor that experimented on her to give her powers. And then it's the Hydra bath soap, which is essentially what's going on right now, where she's escaping reality and just like, I'm not gonna let your worries go away and just be in a bath. So that's happening like now. And then it was this last one with Lagos cleaning up your mess. And when I was watching it with Sneak Sounds, he said, he was like, this ad is so weird because there's this line in there where she says, or where the announcer's like, and husbands can use it too. And it shows the husband cleaning up his beer that he spilled. And he's like, that seems like such an odd line. Like, is that referencing Vision? Like, Vision is gonna like clean up something? Like,
see, to me, like, because not every line and every word has to be something. So I feel like
doesn't.
So to me, that was just them playing off of commercials of that time.
Yeah.
That's
like
what I think just like
I thought too, but I personally think that line. Yeah, no, he could be onto something, but
again, could be.
Yeah.
Could mean everything. Like that's what this whole show is. It's such a good time. It's so fun.
So I'm really curious on what they're gonna do now with Pietro, and like the thing is like, so assuming she is rewriting reality and actually brings in, because it's not the same Pietro, because he has a different accent. He has the accent of where she's from as opposed to where he is an X-Men.
And it's so hard to tell because it's like right now he's playing a role, so you don't know if it's like a role.
Yeah.
Is it a role, or his role? Like I don't know which one it is. Like,
did they literally recast his or her brother with this actor who's that same person? Is it him bleeding into this universe and he's taken over that person, or did he bleed over the universe, is being mind controlled, so is faking the accent that he's supposed to fake?
Exactly. Like, and I think it's that one. I don't know why they would cast that actor if he's not gonna be the Quicksilver from the Fox universe.
Well, I mean, he definitely is. It's just whether or not is to what extent are they bleeding over the universes? Is he now just replacing her brother, and he kind of like is he gonna like suffer from like having two memories, or is he just gonna?
So again, it could be that he's playing a TV role because he has the line, "Who's the popsicle?"
Yeah.
But our our Aaron Taylor Johnson Quicksilver would know who Vision is because they met him in that movie.
Yeah.
This guy has not met Vision. So it could be him playing a role and being like, "Who's the popsicle?" Because I don't know who he is. But if he was Aaron Taylor Johnson, I feel like he would know who Vision is, because he met him already. So I think he
Yeah.
is the Fox version Quicksilver who has never met Vision.
Okay.
And I don't think he has like two memories. I can't wait till he gets out of the bubble and it's just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like I'm like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah, because he does know Wanda.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because in the Fox universe, Wanda is his little sister and not his twin.
Yeah.
Where in this one they're twins. So it's like.
Yeah, but that's also just comics are weird, and comics that give different heroes different starting points sometimes.
Well, it's a big question because she's like, Pietro's my twin, and then like when he's out of the bubble, because he does know Wanda and he should know Wanda because he does have a Wanda sister. Will he be like, yeah, you're my little sister? And she's like, no, I'm not. Like,
because in X-Men they're also the children of Magneto.
Yes. Which,
so
yeah, and in this one they purposely said that her parents were not Magneto.
So
they like reiterated, this is not Magneto's child. Like.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. Yeah, I'm really curious on how they're going to tie these together and if it's going to be a lasting effect.
Like, I think
I don't know why it wouldn't be.
I almost feel like they're just gonna multiverse it. That's what they do with everything, right?
Well, yeah,
like,
they're already planning the Spider-Man multiverse.
Right. So this is already planned, and this is what we already know: is that it's Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and we know Wanda is gonna play a huge role in that movie. And then there's the Spider-Man movie, which we know from like casting that there's multiverse stuff in there too.
So like I think this is gonna end with like Wanda like fucking things up, and like Doctor Strange is gonna kind of need to fix it, but Doctor Strange won't be able to like revert it so much as patch it. So with how they're gonna mix everything together because he's patched it. Well, these two universes are now one. I can't undo that, but I can stop others from bleeding it. Like I think that's more of what's gonna end up happening.
Yeah, and so a lot of people are thinking that Wanda will be the antagonist of Doctor Strange, but I kind of hope that's not the case because we've already had Wanda as the antagonist, and I know she was brand new, but I'm like, we did it. Like, I don't want it again. We can have like accidental tragic character, which is, fine, but like I hope there's like a third party antagonist that like, she's doing this crazy stuff, and then after a while, like her and Doctor Strange like work together to take out this other antagonist.
No, I agree. I don't want Wanda to be the villain. Like she's angry, she's sad, and stuff like that. So she's conflicting with people. That's fine, but like I don't want her to be like the big villain.
I think this is why how they're doing like grief. Like they're like this show, this like show is about grief, and I'm just like, oh, this is so painful.
Yeah, they really want you to like. Not everyone has that happy ending. They're just like,
it's so good.
Yeah. So
So I'm thinking like that's kind of going back to like the Wanda not being the villain thing. Like I think that's why I think it's going to be like monkey paw or deal gone wrong kind of thing. I think whatever outside thing, whether Wanda employed it, because I mean this is the thing with like a lot of that kind of stuff is like a lot of the time people employ it without employing it. Like the whole like reach into the void reaches back kind of a gig. So I think it's gonna be like something along those lines. Where it's like that's what kickstarted it, but then where you're saying like, Doctor Strange is going to come in and like patch it. I feel like it might almost be like you started this ball rolling, but you're going to need someone's help to stop it, and then the antagonist for that is going to be the like whoever the top of this pyramid scheme is.
Yeah,
like that's my thoughts from the look at it, because like I agree, you can't do a full season of someone like effectively having a trauma response to something. And then being like, and now they're a bad guy, just because it's a really bad precedent, if anything. Like
and
in today's day and age,
for feeling trauma, how dare they?
Like, can you imagine like whatever year this comes out, like the next stuff comes out, like 2021, 2022, people are like, I can't believe in 2021 people are villainizing people with like mental health problems. Like just from like the public kickback, I don't think they're gonna be like, yeah. So
No, and I hope
she
No,
like
no.
dealt with
See,
this
here's what-
horrible grief. She responded to that, and now they have to murder her. Like I feel like that's just not
No.
the game they're gonna play.
She got sad, which made her evil, but then she'll become good again because it was just her time of the month. That's the whole.
Well,
That's
I can't
the
wait
story.
to
We've really
They're
come
like,
a long way.
"Listen,
catch this in 2
TMSing
weeks on
is
YouTube
so different
Live.
when you have superpowers. All right, don't worry about it. It'll be fine. Oh
And so,
my
like,
gosh.
to slightly spin off, that's always been one of my favorite tropes of women with superpowers in like stuff. When it's just like, oh yeah, she got superpowers at 12, got a period of 13, and then she blew up a school. Like, wait, what? Like, you have like a full year. It's like, I'm finally getting a handle on it. It's like, oh, uterus says it's time. Like, and then everyone dies. Because it starts with Carrie. Carrie's like the original of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like when she goes off the rails, and then they just kind of went, this works. We all know they get irrational. Now they got superpowers.
Or it's
It
similar,
only makes sense that it's the next step. Like, if you have superpowers, this is what's gonna happen.
or like they'll be like you'll have like this is like a made up situation, but like Wanda will like lose an arm, get shot, she'll be in a lot of pain, but she's like fighting through it and doing stuff and still being successful, like slowly bleeding out. But then she's in labor and now she can't handle that pain, so everything's going like what? Why is
Oh my
you've
God.
already shown how she can deal with like physical pain and it doesn't affect her powers. She can still control it
Right.
because she has control. But now she's in labor, so no control.
Well, but
Which
haven't
was-
you realized that, like, when with the twins, like, her powers doesn't work on them?
Exactly.
It's like
Yeah.
she couldn't send them to sleep, and she couldn't do anything, and she can't like stop them aging apparently, because like she had to like appeal to them to not do
Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Maybe it was just
There's
that.
been a lot of problems with her powers the
Yeah.
last 3 episodes. Have like ever since she got pregnant, she has had problems with her powers, and I don't think I don't think she can control the twins at all for sure. Like I think her powers just don't work on them for a few different reasons. But like her powers in general are not doing well. Like and I think it's and I that's what I don't quite understand cuz like if it really is her and she's like in control, I'm not exactly sure why over time she's like losing. There are like all these cracks, happening and she can't like control everything, the way she could in the 50s. Like cuz like in the 50s it was so much more like we're good. We only had the dinner scene that was like a problem.
Mhm.
And so like I'm not exactly sure like what is happening over time. Is it her realizing what's going on that it's all of a sudden she can't control it anymore, or is it someone else? Is it Vision noticing stuff happening and that's the cause of cracks in the foundation?
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
I'm on board with there is another party involved, whether it's an individual, whether it's an organization, whatever it is. I'm a full proponent of something else is involved, and Wanda agreed to something. But as Wanda subconscious or this version of Vision starts to fight against it, that's why it's changing the timeline. That's why it's causing these weird rifts. That's why it's doing these things. Because as Rambo said, like she got sucked in, and Wanda kind of protected her.
Right.
So like, there's something there. Like, Wanda kicked her out, but Wanda kept her alive. Like,
Right.
and when Wanda left, she was in full control of her powers.
Right.
Like, there was no like,
True.
there was full
But
control.
it was funny because it changed to modern magic.
Yeah.
Like in the show, it had the red smoke and it wasn't working, kind of thing. And then at the end there, it showed like her actual power, like modern day power, and it was like fine because she was like way more like in control.
Yeah. So something about that barrier, I don't think it's purely her.
Yeah.
I think she agreed to something, and like,
Right.
and it started
It's
to unravel.
interesting though, and they have this line in the last episode where, because he's like, Vision and her are fighting, and Vision is like, Norm has a family, and she says, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think I believe her that she does not realize the town is in pain.
Yeah.
Because like Monica and Norm both said that it was painful to be in there, and they felt like a bunch of grief, which is obviously her grief probably mixed with their own grief, and like it like brings that emotion to the surface, and they're like it's painful, and I don't think Wanda knows it's having that effect on them.
Do you think there's only one Wanda?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if there's a version of Wanda who's like creating this, and the one doing the acting is not quite exactly her. Like she
Okay.
has split herself off. She has tried to put her happy her as a separate thing over here, and she's
Yeah.
directing, maintaining, and doing all this other stuff over here.
Okay.
So that's what I mean by like
No,
two
but
Wandas.
that's interesting.
Because that's why that Wanda is actually kind of ignorant in the beginning. Is like, what is happening? Because I think
Right.
she's split off. I think she is a separate entity of the Wanda without the pain, without the grief, without the sadness, which is why it
Yeah.
started in the fully idyllic 50s pure
Yeah.
happiness. And then as that Wanda is starting to learn and realize and deal with that grief, it's starting to get into the less idyllic situations, and she's losing control because
Huh. Is that why you think when Wanda came out of the force field, she was in her regular clothes? Like that's the different one?
yeah, I think that's the one that's in control of what's happening. That's the one that's all the grief, all the anger. I think that's that one.
So the weird thing that really throws me off with it is that if she was actually doing this and shutting herself off, like there seem to be like certain limitations to it because she's taken a geographical location that is an approximation of what she's making, and then she's like made this thing here, but then also like the fact that it's even being broadcast makes no sense if she's in control of it.
Exactly.
Like why wouldn't you just
Why would
black
you
hole it somewhere
broadcast
else?
Yeah,
Like why would you send out the signal? Which is why I think there's like
another entity.
I almost think it's like
Yeah.
one of the conditions of the deal or whatever entity that she's like dealt with. Because like this is where my knowledge of like MCU like falls down. Because like obviously through a lot of like lore and mythology and stuff, like we've always had the idea of like going back to like monkey's paws or crossroad demons or genies. Like all through humanity, we've had these like myths and legends of like effectively like trickster gods. Which weird enough, trickster god Loki, talking about there being a Loki on the loose. Yeah, illusionist.
Yeah.
It's
Maybe.
him, and then we get his
It was-
series in May.
It was always Loki Vision. He's just like, hey. But yeah, like that's why I kind of think like, because it might be that part of the deal is that like, like I don't know, it could have been like, oh, like what kind of idyllic life? And she'd be like, oh, like sitcoms from the 50s, and he was like, fine, sitcom, you live in a sitcom now. Like that's why it's broadcast. Is like one of those like, well, you didn't word it well enough, so here's a thing I did. Because if it was her and she was the one that's in control of it, like at the start she seemed so well in control. Like why have like a failure like that? Like why have something that is a fault in the system? Like all it takes is someone to be nearby and pick up a signal to be like, oh, this is exactly what's happening here. Even though the feed is being edited, whether it's by Wanda or by someone else, it does seem to be like when it starts to go wrong, that it's edited. So maybe it is her.
So that's part of my theory that I wrote about is every time she's violent, it edits it out. And I have a theory that our broadcast from Disney Plus is being edited, and it's like so the rewritten reality doesn't end with the hexagon shape. Like everything is being rewritten / broadcasted to us.
Which is why the X-rays didn't show up.
Which no, it's because she has powers. But that is why, like, whenever the point of view shifts, we get like a different version of the quote that's said. And like the recap for this episode showed a completely different thing than we saw like in the episode. Like the recap showed a different alternate take and like an alternate dialogue versus what we actually saw in the episode. And
I don't think I noticed that.
Don't worry. I watched every episode 8 times.
I've heard that.
And what was something else? Oh yeah, like there that thing with her Norm when he like breaks him out, that was actually written on his card when they identified him. So we had read that in episode 4 before it happened in episode 5.
Okay.
And yet Sword hadn't seen that episode. So it could have been a mistake, but I feel like Marvel wouldn't have done that. Like,
wait, sorry, what was written on the card?
it was written that like they're like Norm really cares about his father and his sister when Vision like releases him from Wanda's control. Is she controlling the whole town? Their safety is now in like it like, and then it's like, and then he puts Norm back to normal. Like that was all written on his when they're identifying the people.
Okay.
That was like written there. But obviously that hadn't happened yet. And then we saw it the next episode. And then Sword was seeing, like when they first spotted Geraldine, we never saw that, but they saw it. So it's like things are being edited for us, just like it's being edited for Sword.
Well, it's definitely implied that there's a lot more episodes. Because
Yeah.
like of how much they watch and talk about what they're watching and stuff like that. Like we're just
But they
getting
don't
like
reference anything we haven't seen.
not specific points,
Yeah.
but you wouldn't do that. If I'm going to make a character and I tell you the character has watched 100 episodes of this thing, and they bring up like 6 bullet points that are important, I'm not going to show you all those 100 episodes. I'm going to show you those 3 episodes that have those 6 bullet points.
But if you want to convey that he's watched a bunch of episodes,
Mhm.
he would probably reference episodes that you haven't seen.
Possibly, but they kind of do. When like she first sets up the TV and they like, what have I missed? And like the amount of time that they're watching and it has passed, we've watched 5 episodes, 20 minutes each. One episode was fully outside, so we've watched not even a full movie's worth, but they are watching like days worth.
Well, again, it could just be edited that way for us. Like I don't know. I don't think I was wondering that too, because I was like, they seem to be watching it nonstop, but it is a broadcast, so maybe it's just playing the same episode over and over and over again until the next episode.
Maybe, but I read that as implying they're seeing a lot more.
Yeah.
But
No,
we're only seeing the relevant parts.
Right.
And
Like
also,
that-
like, because there's no reason, like, the way this put together that, like, it's not like watching Big Brother, for example. Like, you wouldn't be watching Wanda and Vision asleep overnight. So if you're sat there watching it all night, like, it would be episodes of events happening, right?
You would, well, we don't know. But you would think so. Because, like, I don't think that's why she wanted to end the show, so that way they could just go to sleep. Kind of thing. And so then Sword, like, wouldn't watch that, I guess. But, like,
I mean,
but we've seen stuff that Sword hasn't seen.
Well, so I'm not convinced that we have. I don't think we've seen anything from inside. I think the only thing we've seen is what has been broadcast.
No, we
As
see.
if we were watching it on a screen.
No, because we've seen Dottie, like, get cut, and they didn't see that.
Yeah, we saw Rambo get flown through the whole town and fixed. They didn't see that.
Yeah. So, like, if we're seeing things that they didn't see and they're seeing things that we didn't see, someone is editing the broadcast for us as well.
See, this is something where you could end up being right, but I go, nah, I think you're being too conspiracy theory. This is where I'm like, no, I think you're trying to go too far into the rabbit hole.
I'm doing the facts, baby!
And now you're in a gopher hole. We're like, where are you? What are you doing? We're over here.
I'm in it. No, I'm in it. And then the final cherry on top is that when they send the 80s drone in and it's showing Wanda, her eyes light up on a black and white screen. Just like the helicopter was colorized for Sword.
Well, the helicopter was colorized for us as well. When she picked up the helicopter, it was red for us.
And they saw that.
Yeah.
But this isn't being broadcast. This is just the feed from their drone to them. The broadcast is from Disney Plus to us.
Wait, when they were flying the drone, that was black and white?
Yes.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
I don't know.
I can show you the picture.
As
of
the
her
resident
eyes lighting
colorblind person here, I feel like I'm better the expert on colors, and I don't remember that.
How can you be the expert at colors and also you can't always see them? I feel like you've countered your own argument there a little bit.
That's the
That
joke.
was a joke.
Oh, sorry.
I,
Ignore
also,
me.
unless something is specifically done, my memory is usually black and white anyway.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the fact that the show is black and white and then the helicopter was suddenly red, like the show wanted to draw your attention to that, so my memory of that is the red helicopter. But like my memory of every other episode is just black and white, unless they specifically draw mention to a color of a thing. My
I
memory is
gotcha.
usually black and white because I don't commit the
And
color
it's
to
so
it.
cool because they started the color in the first episode with the Stark toaster because the light shines red.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
And so that was already in the first episode, and then it did the helicopter in the second, and then it became colorized, so it wasn't as important. But then the drone footage, which isn't being broadcast except to us, went red. I'm telling you, it means something, man. I feel like the guy from Sunny, where it's like it's
the board all the strings. You're like, I got it. I figured it out.
and then Carol. No, I know. Like some of it
This is where Blindside and I just back up. Okay, calm down.
Like,
Calm down.
Yeah.
No, like it really is
And then
one of those
Blindside
things where...
Blindside and I turned to the camera off screen. It just must be that time of the month.
Her powers have got out of hand.
Yeah, no, it really could be like, are they, headfirst into television making, and this is just what happens in television making? Because I have had TV shows where the recap showed something that we did not see.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And I hate that because I'm like, what the fuck? Like, we didn't see that.
It's the same thing with movie trailers and stuff like that, because a lot of it is just given
Yeah.
to someone over there who's just given a variety of footage, and they do that.
Exactly.
And there might be things where like, oh, this is going to be in episode 4, so they do the recap, and later on they went, nah, it doesn't fit. Let's do it for this episode.
Right, and they
But
just
that guy-
edited.
Yeah, that person 3 buildings over in that room with all the footage never got that email or note, and they're like, all right, this is good for this scene. Like,
No, and I totally agree that like it could just be that.
Mhm.
But I
But
don't
it's-
know, man.
it could be that. It's not. I know it's not,
It's
but it
not.
could be. But it's
I don't
not.
no, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think something greater is happening. And I think that's why there's all the questions of who's editing the broadcast, the constant show, like, because it's like Film 101 that if you see somebody watching movies or watching a television show, it's to tell the audience who's watching the show that that person is a mirror of you.
Mhm.
Like, that's like Film 101 because they're watching a movie and show and you're watching it. So it's like this direct parallel of you. So that's like Film 101. And then it's like the conversations that Sword are having are literally like the conversations we are having as like Marvel nerds.
At the
So
same
we are
time,
very...
Film 102 says you take these Film 101 things and you switch them up to fuck with the audience on occasion.
I don't like Film 102.
But Marvel is, let's face it, they're doing more risky stuff, but they're still for general audiences. So
Yeah.
we're still on Film 101. Like, yeah.
I mean, I can't believe you haven't hit this yet, but who's the missing person? They went there to
I
find a
know,
missing
right? That never
person.
gets like. They must not see.
All
That's
they've
why I'm
said
like,
is
is
they're-
that Ralph? Because that's the only
So
person
all they've
we haven't
said
seen.
is they're in witness protection, right?
Yeah, the
Right.
Witsec person.
So it's like, okay, so you got someone that's in witness protection. I think they refer to him as a him.
Yes, they did.
So somewhere there's a guy that's in witness protection for we don't
you
know.
would think that would be like
what
your
he
number
test-
one to be like, there he is, we found him. Like,
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, because I saw a government agency
Yes.
Yes.
in this. So yeah, they would have
Division.
access to that.
right.
Not
So you have
necessarily.
a board full of people. So you have a board full of people, and they've taken pictures of everyone that's in the thing, and they're going and finding their TV license stuff like that. At no point do we have anything that's like, here's the WitPro guy,
Right.
and
And
we
it was
haven't
weird
seen him
because-
yet.
Well, the
During that
FBI
scene-
should be aware of it, not necessarily Sword, because the whole point of
Right.
Witsec is you want to limit the amount of agencies that have that information. Otherwise, it
But you have
becomes
an agency camped outside where you're searching for a missing person. You
Well,
might tell one of them.
no. I agree. I agree that like the FBI guy or someone should have noted if that we saw that person. But I don't think Sword would know who that person is.
And then it's weird though, because during that scene when they're like identifying, and it could be that argument of they just don't want to spread that information, but like they even say, they're like, this is starting as a missing persons, but it's actually they're talking about Monica Rambeau is missing, and they don't even talk about the witness protection guy. And so you're like, you're identifying him for Monica? Did you forget that you have a person missing in witness protection that nobody even has heard of him?
And then the
whole
whole
reason she went missing.
why do
was
we
she
know of
went
this
to
missing
find a
town?
missing guy.
Yeah.
And then the why do we know of this missing town? Like the cops didn't. The cops are parked outside the town and be like, what town? There's no town.
Which goes to my theory that it's outside of the perimeter. Like,
Oh no, because didn't they like there was the whole because she said in the episode when she's going up, like, don't you have that overwhelming urge that you shouldn't be
yeah,
here?
they do say that. They say
So
like,
prospectively, like
don't
if
wanna
you're
go
close to
in.
it for like a long time, you're like, don't want to go there, don't want to go there, like, and they just stop thinking about it.
Yeah, but the cops are like literally just parked there. There were cops
And they
sitting
don't
in a
think it
car
exists.
parked on the road. They're just why are they actively just sitting there? Like what is their reason for
I figured
being
Agent
there?
Drew called them to interrogate him.
Maybe, which means he had to then call them from a neighboring town. So
Right,
cops
Eastview.
from a neighboring town, which is in theory based in the middle of Jersey, is probably an hour or so away, based on what we see around there.
Yeah.
But these two cops claim this town doesn't exist, but
Right.
like other people clearly know this town is supposed to exist.
Right.
And then like all the government agents are parked within a stone's throw of this field, and none of them
And it's
talk about it.
fine. Yeah. And then like, because Monica has the question that like it hasn't been answered, where it's like, well, how come we're not affected? Is it because we don't have a personal connection? Because like they know about the witness protection guy, but everyone else who is close to him was like, I've never heard of the guy.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that's people outside of the town who have heard of this person, don't know who this person is. So it's affecting people outside of the hexagon.
And the person in Woodset could also have powers, and that's why it's this town. This could be the mysterious.
It could be Ralph. And he's doing this.
Yeah.
He's
I mean,
like,
that would
but then
make
why would he
sense.
need witness protection program? You know, why would he even need that if he had powers? Like this, especially.
Well, more
Well,
thinking like, so if you have a character where it's like, okay, so witness protection is supposed to be hiding for everyone, right? So
Right.
then in the edit, who are you gonna play? You're gonna play the guy that no one ever fucking sees.
Right.
So like maybe
That
it's
was
just
part of my
meta.
point. I was like, so who's editing the broadcast for us? I was like, is it Ralph, the person we never see?
Yeah.
Who's edited out of the broadcast perchance?
Yeah, he just edits himself out of everything,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I still feel like it's the
The writing's on the walls, boys.
I still feel like most of the editing is being done by either a dual personality or subconsciously by Wanda. But I still think there are two versions of her. I think there's the idyllic version who's starting to realize what's happening, and then the super angry, sad, like dealing with the emotions one who's just trying to control all of this and create that happy life that growing up in a third world country as a child, she probably saw these old TV shows and was just trying to recreate that.
It could be, but I feel like if she's idyllic, happy Wanda, she knows Vision died and she brought him back.
No, but that's the thing. Like the angry, sad Wanda creates this version of her who doesn't know that.
But she does know that.
That's the personalities bleeding together again.
Oh, okay.
That's what I mentioned. I think they're bleeding back together. She can't fully separate it perfectly. I think it's straining her powers too much, too long. Plus, whatever I think the third party is also doing stuff. I think it's just too much, and like it's starting to. She can't hold it all together.
So if Wanda's editing the broadcast, why would she include commercials about her tragedy?
Because you can't because these are tragedies. You can't block all these out from who you are. Like things that bother you in your life, your day-to-day life, you don't think on them, but like every now and then that you'll suddenly remember that thing or you'll think about that thing and you can't help. I think
And
she's
they purposely showed Darcy ignore the commercial, and I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, how do you not like notice that that is a Stark toaster? Like, that's important.
yeah. So like I don't think everything being presented is 100% being controlled or manipulated. I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of bleed through. I think there's Wanda pushed to her limit straining and things are bleeding through that she can't always correct or fix or
Yeah.
take care of.
So
And
I
we
have a
see those
question
flashes. Yeah.
for you boys. Do you like the
Yes.
week to week? Do you like having this show week to week versus having the whole thing?
So I've talked about this with my friend recently, actually, and there is something to be said about a show just releasing and being able to binge it, plowing through it, watching it all. Sometimes it's just really great to do that. At the same time, it's harder to build certain moments when you can do that.
Yeah,
And like
pacing.
what comes up a lot of times, and even on singular episodes of something you're watching, without that commercial gap, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
scenes get ruined. Because you might have a scene where something sad happens and it's bringing you down, stuff like that, and it wants to cut to commercial and just leave you hanging in that. But sometimes it
Yeah.
just fades to black, fades back in. It's like, you're like I haven't had a chance to parse what just happened, and you just drastically change tone. So much like sometimes a commercial break is essential for making a scene better, I think for some shows, weekly is necessary to make the show better.
Agreed.
And so that's what I feel here.
Elliot.
So I kind of like it doesn't bother me because when I was a kid, everything was weekly, like because we
Yeah,
had like terrestrial
we
TV.
grew up
That's
in the old times.
exactly that's how TV worked, and like shows being bingeable definitely let you do. Like I still think that like Firefly, for example, as a show, one of the reasons it really didn't do well was because the pacing didn't really work. Of if you miss an episode, like there was so much character progression through the arc
Mm-hmm.
that missing an episode was like devastating. Whereas most programs, it's
And
like
Fox aired it out of order.
Yep.
yeah, which I only found out recently.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no.
They
Um,
did.
but so yes, like it to have like an overarching story like that's one of the reasons that things like Doctor Who always did very well in England as an episodic because every episode was so disjointed. Like you kind of had a progression of the main character, but it was like loose.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with this it works really well. And personally, I think why it works so well is for exactly like this reason.
Mm-hmm.
Is like we have a whole week to like dwell on shit. It's the
Yeah.
same way as like Google ruined pub arguments.
Yeah.
Like, and this is kind of counter that. Like, what's the point in having a dispute in a pub about like, oh well, I thought this, when you can just Google it.
Right.
And I feel like it's the same with if this had released in like a whole bulk of all of it being available straight away, there were going to be a whole chunk of people who day one would have watched all of them back to back and then been online being like, well, here's all the things that I now know because I watched all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of like it because it gives us the chance to be like, okay, so we've watched this many episodes. What do you think's happening? And
Mm-hmm.
oh, well, I'm already 3 episodes ahead of you guys, so I know what's going on. Like,
Yeah.
I
it
hate
dissolves
those
that.
conversations. Like,
Yeah.
and I think I agree with you, Wolves. Like, some shows benefit from binging. Like, some shows are better just take it all in, kind of thing. Where there are other shows that require and like the fun is like Lost.
Mhm.
Lost was thrived on the week to week. What does this mean? What is happening? We got answers to this. Now we don't know what's going on here. Like that's like why that show did so well. And I don't know if it would be as good if you just binged it.
Yeah.
By yourself. Like it would be entertaining, sure, but like you miss the nitty-gritty stuff, like where like that's where the show like was so much fun to be a part of. And like Game of Thrones was like that too.
Mhm.
The fun was watching it week to week and being like, oh my god,
Yeah. We're like,
and though fun on rewatch, it's just not the same experience.
and something like Umbrella Academy, binge it. I don't
Just
see
binge
like
it.
I love Umbrella Academy, but there's nothing gained by delaying one episode a week. You just know I want to binge it.
Agreed.
Like
Because you could theorize in between, but that show's not about that. It's
Yeah.
about these characters and how they relate to each other.
Yeah,
And so
a season of
it's
Umbrella
like,
Academy basically feels like a long movie,
yeah,
where this is not. Like you are not meant
Yeah.
to. So
yeah. And so, like, I would argue The Mandalorian doesn't need to be week to week, but it is.
agreed. So
Like,
I think the part of the reason some things go week to week is strictly based on its popularity, and they don't
Yeah.
want you subscribing for a month.
Yep.
Like that's
Agreed.
for some that is entirely the reason. It's
No, for sure.
Yeah.
But because I've had this conversation with multiple people, and some people are like, I just want the whole thing. Like, I like binging. That's how I like to, like that's how I like to digest my content. That is what I do, and that's what. And I'm like, but then you have all the answer. Who?
Yeah.
But like, what about the mystery? I wouldn't be able to my 3-hour theory on a Word document if
Yeah.
I had it all together. And it was just so much fun to talk about it with people and what do you think and what are you pulling and
Yeah.
da 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 da, like, yeah.
Like my favorite type of show to binge is competition shows. Like I'll watch them week to
Yeah.
week, but like something like Ink Master or like um Forged in Fire, something like that. I like when like the season's over and I can just plow through them. Like I can sit down
Yeah.
game and watch like 5 episodes of Forged in Fire or a couple episodes of this because it doesn't matter. Like, oh, that person went
Right.
home. But it also helps because if you watch those shows live sometimes, like 3 months later, like we brought back this person. You're like, who is that person? I don't remember them.
Who?
But like you're like, oh yeah, they were on like 4 hours ago. Like it's like things like
Yeah.
that. I definitely 100% prefer. Other ones like whatever, take it or leave it. Like, but
Yeah, and especially with a show so like dense. Like, I can't believe the episodes are only 20 to 40 minutes. Like,
well, the
it's
episodes are like
so
20
dense.
minutes, and then there's 20 minutes of like credits. Like at the end of
Well, because
every episode,
this last episode was 40 minutes.
at the end of every episode, you look at the full bar, and it's like right here, and like that last like huge chunk is just credits. You're like,
They
Jesus.
do have long credits. Do you know, oh my gosh, that like there's way more money in this show than like some of the Marvel movies?
I believe it.
Like a lot more. It was crazy. It
I
was a
believe.
good time though. I believe it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just makes you. My fuss is like, it's fun as a puzzle, but I'm kind of like, well, I want to know the answers though. Just give
But
them
you
to me
will
now.
have like you
Yeah.
literally you will have the answers longer than you don't have the answers.
But that's an
I
awful
mean,
way of looking
Platt,
at it. I
he
wanna
could
know.
die in a month. He might not actually,
What if I die without the answers?
right?
Just
I'm
don't
haunting you,
die, forehead.
motherfuckers.
Just
I
don't do
will
it.
Pawn all of you.
All right, and that's the message of the podcast today. Just don't die. Just you heard
Don't
it.
die.
That's
Not
it.
before Wanda Vision is done, all right? Then that like the spoiler thing, then it's on you.
This podcast is brought to you by Not Dying. Try it.
Highly recommend it.
But yeah, no, like you can always binge it after, which
Yeah.
would also in its own benefit be a fun viewing because now it's like, okay, well now I have all the answers. Now I'm going to rewatch it through and be like, where are all the little hints that I could have picked up on? You
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah, like you rewatch each episode. I'm gonna wait till the whole thing and then probably
Mhm.
rewatch it. Like I don't want to like rewatch each individual episode. I'm gonna wait till it finishes.
I'm
honestly,
probably
the
gonna watch
first
all of it and go, huh, and then
Huh.
do something else.
and then not do it. Yeah, like the first 2 episodes I watched I think like 3 times just because I just enjoyed
Yeah.
the show. Like I was like, this is so charming and like fun to watch. Like this is just adorable, and it was like so nostalgic because I did watch like I Love Lucy and Bewitched,
Yeah.
and so I was like, this is so fun. And then with the 3rd episode, things kind of got a little crazy, and then I would like watch reactions and hear their little discussion, and then on Wednesday I would rewatch it before Friday.
Yeah. Like
So that was kind of been my pattern of like I'll rewatch it on Wednesday and kind of like refresh and then.
yeah, I've had a. So my wife is not a huge movie person. Like she'll watch movies and stuff like that, but like she doesn't like she enjoys them at the moment and she'll remember certain things, but like for the most part she's just like, oh, that was fun. Delete.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
for certain aspects. So like I've been like trying to explain stuff because also she hasn't watched every Marvel movie and stuff like that, and like so like I'm trying to explain stuff. So like I remember the first episode, like it just starts out, we're like 10 seconds in, and I pause and I go, okay, just so you know, no one knows what's going on. I said before
Yeah.
you ask why, what, no one knows. Okay.
No one knows.
I was like,
Yeah,
there's
that
no.
was so funny because a lot of people were like, "What is going on?" And like
Yeah.
the first time that I watched it, I was like, "This is exactly what I wanted." Like this
Yeah.
is because they described that this was going to be the show.
Yeah.
I don't know why people were confused. I was like, "This is what they said it was going to be and now you're upset." Like
I mean, if again for people like my wife, she didn't look, she didn't see any of the stuff. She didn't care. Like
Yeah.
it was not anywhere on her radar that she cared about the show, like what a
Yeah.
projection was gonna be. Not
Right.
to say that she didn't hear, oh, WandaVision, I'm interested in that, but like that, like,
Yeah.
but there's no other like,
I love how unapologetic they were too. They were
yeah,
like, "We're just in the 50s and we're doing a sitcom."
yeah,
And we're just gonna do this and
and for 2 solid
enjoy
episodes,
for the first two
yeah,
solid episodes. And we're only gonna have this little hint right here if you stay to the end.
yeah.
Like, oh, it was so good.
Just like what the frick just happened? And like, okay, we'll start to
Yeah.
give you some answers, more questions, but some answers.
Yeah. Oh man, it was so enjoyable. I do enjoy slow burns like this,
Yeah,
but I can't even like some shows are slow burns and they're boring.
yeah,
I did not find this boring at all. But I understand where some people did because they don't have the nostalgia factor where they're
Mhm.
like, I don't like sitcoms. Like, I don't want to watch this.
Yeah. Like at the end of episode 5, like after Pietro and everything like that, it was like credits. All right, pause. Immediately turn on the couch and live. Okay, so here's what just happened.
This is
Like,
really
You need
important.
to understand some things.
Things that, well, and that's the discussion I'm probably going to have with visiting.
yeah,
Like, she does not watch, she doesn't even really like the superhero genre. Like, she's not into that. But when the first 2 episodes were out, I was like, I think you might like this because you will just like the shows. And then there's this little mystery going on in the back,
yeah.
that like kind of keeps you like, what's going on? And then this last episode happened, and I texted her, and I was like, so I didn't realize how like MCU centric this was gonna be. So just let me know if you have any questions
Who?
because,
My mic cut out. Who'd you say this was?
oh, my mom,
Oh, okay.
yeah, she doesn't like watch the movies or anything, and so I was just
Yeah.
like, I did not realize this was gonna relate back so hard.
Yeah.
Like, and so
Yeah,
I was
like-
like, let me just know if you have questions.
Yeah, because I was like, okay, I gotta bring up YouTube. I gotta show you the X-Men scenes with Pietro, and she remembered the scenes, but she just didn't
Yeah.
realize that was the same actor. Like she
Right.
goes, oh yeah, no, I remember. Okay, yeah, so that's that actor, but that exists over here. Because I was like, well, Fox owned the licensing, and they own,
See,
so they're separate.
we know these things about copyrights that no in the universe that doesn't exist, but we know about copyrights, and so they didn't have these characters.
I'm really waiting for the show to get DMCA striked. It's like Fox has said you can't use this character. It's their copyright. We've taken him out again.
Imagine.
Just the start of the next episode, he's just not in it
Oh my
anymore.
gosh.
And at some point, someone's like, "Hey, didn't your brother come back?" And it's like, "Yeah, Fox said we can't do that." And then they just carry on. I would fucking love that. Just
Like if
curveball that
Deadpool
shit.
just all of a sudden comes up and goes, you can't do
Hey, wait, no.
hey, wait,
no,
I can't
no.
be here either. And then it
So-
just blips out.
Before
Just
the
both of them
purchase,
edit out.
before the purchase, did you hear what Ryan Reynolds said the third Deadpool, like the general plan was gonna be?
Is it combining X-Men and him? 'Cause
No. Well,
I-
that's what it's. I mean, that's what it's. The third one's gonna be now is like trying to.
oh, okay.
But before that, like
Uh-huh.
Ryan Reynolds, and it's hard to tell if he's ever joking, but he's like, in all seriousness, we are like everything was in place and plotting everything in place for like a buddy road trip with him and Wolverine. And I was like, I want that movie so
I
bad
know
now.
that would have been great.
Like a Deadpool Wolverine buddy road trip.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
On a side note, if
A
they bring
movie
Deadpool in
that's-
and he doesn't immediately meet Spider-Man and start flirting with him, I'm gonna be upset.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Because that's
Well, which
like,
one?
yes.
Just they do the
said
Spider
high
Verse, and
school.
Deadpool's there like,
That's so funny. Yeah, it's a good show.
Yep.
It's a good show. I'm really, really, really enjoying it.
5 out of 7 would recommend.
Yeah, I love it as a
perfect
love
score.
letter to TV and the evolution of. I enjoy it as what it means to you. I'm enjoying it for just the sitcom part of it because even the 70s show, which I thought was whack, I still enjoyed. Like,
Yeah, I think of all of the questions, I'm most curious about the neighbor.
yeah.
Like that's the one that has.
Oh, they also did not identify Dottie. Just for we don't know who Dottie is either.
Wait, which one's Dottie?
She's the platinum blonde who's the key to everything in this town.
Oh,
Oh, the like neighborhood watchy kind of lady.
Yeah. Yeah.
gotcha.
We
Okay.
don't know who she is either. And I was like, that would be pretty cool if it was Emma Frost, but I don't know for sure.
She's Magneto.
Oh, and
Plot
who's the
twist.
Magneta. Magneta. Blindside.
Oh. And then who's the aerospace engineer that Monica Rambeau called for?
Oh yeah, there's like one person that can like make that thing.
Yeah, because she was like, she's like, I know an aerospace engineer who will help, and she like texts somebody, and then we haven't seen them yet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I'm assuming they made the 80s drone, so they like were already there, but we didn't get to.
I think they just requisitioned an 80s drone. I don't think they made it.
Oh, okay.
Because she's like, we need something from the 80s.
Oh, that's right. That's for her going in. That's
yeah. She's like, let's just requisition that.
Yeah, so she might be getting like an Iron Man type suit to go inside or something. So it could be someone from Iron Man's.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We'll see.
At this point, I'm just taking your word for it.
Well, we don't know. I'm like, who's an aerospace? I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
So.
And again, it doesn't always need to be a known person.
Just
this is the
googling
MCU.
aerospace
It does need to
engineers
be a
in
known
MCU.
person.
Can you imagine they
It's
just brought on
either a
like some
person-
dude?
It's either an actor we know or it's gonna be, a character that from the comics we know. But like, it's got to be someone. Why would they just leave you hanging just to have some random person come in and be like, "Hi, I'm the aerospace engineer"? It's like, okay, who the fuck cares?
He's like not even named, not even a named character. He's in the credits as aerospace engineer.
Yeah, he's just an extra who has no lines because they didn't want to
Hey,
pay
you
him
guys
extra
called
to
for
say
an aerospace
dialogue.
engineer.
Like,
I'm here. Just like whips out a laptop. Yeah, cool, job's done. Bye then.
They're like, "Oh, thanks. Was that hard?" He's like, because he has no lines. Like,
not speaking. He's just in the background.
Yeah,
With a big
like,
name badge that
it's
says
gotta be
aerospace
someone.
engineer. Like, not even a cameo. He's an extra.
Yeah, he's just in the background.
Every
They're like,
episode,
"Hey,
it's a
thanks," he
different
just
guy that
waves.
looks similar. It's a different extra.
Oh, and what happened to the beekeeper? We don't know.
Oh yeah, they did not say. You're right. They didn't address
He got
that.
rewound, and we just haven't seen him.
She just noped the hell out of him.
He's still crawling through a pipe to this day.
That's what I said, and I was like, that really freaks me out. That like really makes me grossed out. That like he's still just like crawling, and the second he gets to the top, he like keeps like.
Yeah.
He's
Ugh.
just sobbing. He's
That-
aware of the loop.
Oh, I don't like it. That like I literally have goosebumps. That freaks
He's
me out.
trying all different things. That's gonna be the spin-off series. Is the beekeeper dude just trying different stuff in the sewers? He's like, well, I tried up and that doesn't work. What if I go back on myself? And then he's like, he turns around, and goes back, and it's just the ladder, and he's like, ah!
No!
Like slowly, just like going insane.
He's waiting for the rerun episode where he can try to escape.
The rerun. Which, if it's playing every day, just rewind, just reruns.
Oh
I
man.
just figured it's like 24/7 Wanda Vision on that channel, and so it's like just that episode going over again, like the
Yes.
broadcast.
I assumed there were more episodes, more things happening. They were just uneventful. They weren't relevant to us.
Well, we haven't seen anything so far that's like, oh, it's
Could be.
back on or anything like that. So like, it doesn't
Right.
seem like in the old days when it was like the weird girl. Did you guys ever have the weird girl on the puppet playing noughts and crosses? We used to get that like before TV turned on in the morning.
I don't know
Like-
what you're talking about. And
You
also,
said
Meaning-
so
how
much
is it
British
before
slang
the
in that
TV
one
turned off?
sentence.
Like
So
that,
in-
not
in
all
the-
British TVs are haunted. Before
Isn't
you
that
turn them on,
XXO?
there's just a little girl. X's and O's Next.
No, to be fair, the thing was fucking horrifying, by the way. But there
Well,
was
yeah, your
a thing.
TVs weren't on.
There was a thing where, like, if you went downstairs in the morning and turned the TV on before
Where's brotherly
TV
love, man? I
before
can't
TV
find
had
it.
started, it was literally it just was a very high pitched like tone, and there was a picture of a blackboard on an easel, and there was a girl playing noughts and crosses with like a spooky clown puppet. That was just what if you went that it punished
That's
little
how they have
children
kids
that
go to
sneak
bed. They're like, I
downstairs
don't
for
want to watch
TV.
this.
Yeah, I don't. I think
Yeah.
these are nightmares, or your parents played a mean trick on you, and just
They're like, you want to watch TV? This is what's on. That's the only thing that's on.
it's like when parents would tell their kids that ice cream trucks play music when they're out of ice cream.
Right,
haven't heard
I
that.
might
That's
break.
so funny. That's
I might
so
break
clever.
everything, but I feel like I'm gonna screen share and it's gonna break everything instantly.
I mean,
Wow.
It-
Way to
it
ruin
is
the
because it's gonna
podcast.
make a fourth thing, and I'm not
Yes,
set up
it
for a fourth
is.
Oh, yeah,
thing.
You're a
that's
bad
true.
person, Elliot.
I'm right. Wait, let me just.
Do it
I'll send it.
anyway.
Send
Send
an
it in
image
the
in
chat.
Discord, and I can just like drag it over because I'm just doing
Oh
screen
my
grabs.
god. That's
So-
terrifying.
Shit.
That's what used to show before
Okay.
TV started. I don't
open
know how
original.
to explain it.
Let me. Hold on.
That's
So in
so scary.
England, if you went and watched TV before TV started, that's what showed up on the screen.
I don't like
So
it.
if I put this
Turn it
right
off.
here. Oh no, actually full screen. There we go.
I have an ad.
And yeah, that was TV. If you went down at like 6 in the morning, because like I think TV started at 6 or it was like 6:30 or something. But if you were like 5 minutes early, you turn it on, it would be that, and it would just be like,
I love how there's the
Spoilers?
from all
Yeah.
the
I want someone to like come in right now and be like, "What is happening? Does Wanda turn into a creepy child? Is that Vision as a clown doll?"
if they're
Yes,
if they're
yes, it is.
English,
This is-
if they're English, they'll just be like, "Why is the host not started yet?" Like they just
Oh
be
my God.
waiting for you to start GMTV or whatever.
Oh my gosh. When we're waiting to get the podcast started, can we just have that image up?
all
Can
the
we
time.
get Platt to reenact it? I want the starting soon. I want it to be Platt playing noughts and crosses with a spooky doll. That's what I want.
We can do that. We
Oh
can make
no,
that
what are you
happen.
doing?
What? What did I
You
do?
obviously. I think you're gonna say hello.
Help me! Oh no!
Yeah, that's what I used to be greeted with in the morning if I got up too early and tried to watch television. And we wonder why I'm the way I am now.
I've never wondered that.
I've loved it. I've been like, whatever happened in this man's childhood, it was good. It was good for me and my entertainment.
Oh man. The more broken you are, the funnier it is to me. So whatever.
Alrighty.
Childhood trauma is adult entertainment.
As shown by WandaVision.
Woo!
Exactly. I'm gonna start running adverts in
See,
the
it all
podcast
goes
of all my past traumas.
full circle.
All right. I think this is the longest we've ever done a podcast. As
Word.
predicted, we didn't even get close to this week's topic, so don't worry about it.
I kind of forgot what it was, so I'm glad that.
It was
games
your
we play
idea.
off stream.
Yeah, I know, but I was just throwing stuff out there and brainstorming, so I wasn't really paying attention.
Not a worry. All right, Platinum, we'll start with you. Who are you? Where can people find you?
Hi, my name's Platinum Trophy Wife. You can find me on Twitch at Platinum Trophy Wife, and I play games and make art.
She now does art more often than Overwatch, but barely.
By like an hour.
All right, Blindside, you're up.
My name is Blindside, and I stream on Twitch at Blindside GK. I'm currently playing Final Fantasy 6, and I suplexed a train. It was the best.
I'm Grey Wolves. I host this podcast. Occasionally, I stream. You can find me at Twitch at where you are right now.
Unless you
That's
watch this on
really tough.
YouTube.
Yeah,
in
well, I
which
do put this
case-
on YouTube, in which case you can find me at twitch.tv/Grey_Wolves, where you know how it works. It's gonna be down here for everyone, over here for me.
Wait,
Try
you
typing
typed
that one of them Rolodex keyboards.
Twitch.tv for YouTube?
No, if they see me on
No.
YouTube, that's how they get to me here. If they're here, they know where I
Oh.
am. Also, I just displayed it on everyone's pictures. They're
Hey.
there. Go to those places.
Oh, that's the wrong.
Here, I'll do it again. Hold on. It's up again. Gesture.
Oh,
There you go.
I'm gesturing.
Perfect.
Is it good?
Flawless expert streamers all around. All right.
I Wheel of Fortune.
Bye.